Boy, we got a full lineup tonight. Full lineup. Boy, we're gonna be talking tonight. Talking all talk. I guess you can be quiet tonight and let Charlie do some talking because Charlie don't get to talk at all on this show.
Listen,
What?
I'm going to set the house rules tonight. No, we will not do that tonight, Charlie. I'm going to set the house rules.
No. I was coming. Wait, I was saying hello to the guests. That's all. I was just saying hello to Miss Blakely. Bam, bam, bam. That's all. and wait a minute, Keisha.
Hi.
Did you have some steak this morning? Rare? Because you like red meat. So I'm just letting you know. Because you vicious when you want to be. I want to say hello to you and the quiet one up in the top.
Quiet.
Janetta, how are you?
Hey, Charlie.
Good to have you guys.
Yes.
And there you go, bam. And Dr. Torre, always a pleasure.
Yes, sir. I just still want my chicken. I'll still wait for my chicken.
Now, see, you like to bring up history because just because you do history, you don't have to bring it up all the time.
My coupon was good.
Okay, Miss. Thank you, sir. Miss I can't think of her name. Sandra McKeithen, right.
I'm setting the ground rules already. We will not do what we did last week, Charlie. We will not have your shenanigans going on. We're going to have order and decorum.
The Jewish all taught you that funny word, shenanigans.
Hey, St. Patrick's Day.
We will not have your shenanigans going on today. We're going to have order because we have honorable people sitting here. We have our council people and the Dr. Torre sitting here with us today. And we're going to talk about it.
The good doctor.
And wait a minute. And you forgot, you also have another doctor. I have a PhD. I pray hard daily, every day. So I have a PhD. Now you can start.
So I'm going to set the order for this forum tonight because Era is not here right now, but she will be on in a few. I'm sure.
Yeah. I'm sure she will.
Oh, happy day.
So good evening, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to the Rabble.
Good evening.
Welcome to the Rabble. Tonight we have an all-star lineup. We have them all right here. We're going to see what the hell is going on in this city.
It is a lot.
It's a whole lot. Got a few questions for you. I know if we, Mr. Brown, gonna ask you 1,000 questions. So
bam, there you go.
So we're gonna get all started. There's a couple of more people coming in. Our other host, Bernard Brown, he's in Atlanta, and he was having some technical difficulties. And then we should have who else? Is one more person?
That lady, Miss McKeithen was saying the mouth of the South.
Air and Bernard. So, two hosts. We got two hosts. Air always comes in late because she got Wednesday and Thursday night late conferences. Anyway, let's get it started. We are glad to have the Alderwoman from the 1st District. Alderwoman Bryant Lanier.
Good evening. Hello, all.
Hello. And I tell you what, we cannot go a whole week. Boy, Savannah. I mean, what?
Can I finish?
No, you can't. Because I always let you guys go. But I have been so excited about the news going on in Savannah this week. I mean, we can't go a whole week without Savannah she went into you guys. What y'all? Y'all got magnets on you?
That means they're fighting.
I mean,
they're fighting for us.
Wait a minute. I want to interject just for a minute. I want each person to introduce who they are and what they represent, and we'll know to the viewing audience before we go at them. And Julius, you can start it off with the first if you like to, and then we'll just go however y'all choose to go next. Okay? The lady with the eat the red meat steak in the morning time, she probably want to close it out. So y'all go ahead and get started.
We're gonna start with I had already started, but Sandra stopped me.
Okay, go ahead.
The first district, Ms. Bryant Lanier, tell the people who you are.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Bryant Lanier, Alderwoman of District 1, and I am just a lover of my community, and I'm a lover of my people, and I will fight for my people. And right now, there is a lot of activity going on in the first district. The first district is actually targeted for all types of development. However, all of that development is not good. So what you see at council may appear to be just a lot of disevo and a lot of fighting, but that's what it takes because change never came without a struggle. And so that's what you're seeing at council. And so you have to have some really thick skin to be in this game. And hey, I got it. So that's what's going on.
Mr. Charlie, get your next person.
The next person can go. We can go with bam, bam, bam. Alethea Blakely, at large, post number 2.
Hello, everybody. Hello, viewing audience. Y'all know who I am. I no longer raise hell babies. I'm raising awareness. Let me tell y'all something. This is a struggle. This is a fight because those that have the power do not want to relinquish any of it. And like I always say, I don't care what they get, but doggone it, we gonna get something. If I put 1 penny into the pot, doggone it, I better be getting 2 pennies back. This thing is serious out here. I'm your alderman at large, post 2, where I represent the whole city. The whole city. So the fight and the struggle is to help Alderwoman Bryant Lanier, 1st District Representative, get what her community needs. And that is who I am. Yes.
That's right.
Keisha?
Let me say this. I will be muting my phone because I have a lot of noise in the background. So if you see me with my phone muted, that's because I don't want them to overtalk what you all have going on here. Thank you.
Hello, Savannah, and hello, ATR, and hello to all of you. Thank you so much for having us as your guest tonight. I am Alderwoman for Post 1 of the City of Savannah. Savannah is divided into 6 distinct districts, and you also have 2 at-large post representatives in the mayor. So essentially, citizens of Savannah have representation in the form of 4 people. So if you can't get what you want from one of us, you have 3 more people to help you out. Or if you want a big celebration, you have 4 people to help to share in the success of whatever it is that you may be presenting or sharing with our community. And that's the beauty of where we live here in Savannah. And I think the intent behind establishing such was really to strengthen the voice of the people. And I'm happy to serve at a time such as this, where it is unusual for a person like me to be in local government. I had never intended to run for public office. I was a public servant for nearly 3 decades here in the city of Savannah, working with seniors who were nutrition insecure, to youth who were vulnerable and members of gangs, families with children who were homeless, to working with rape victims and children who were molested. And so those sets of unique experiences give me a different eye in that I have worked for decades reactively responding to issues related to crime, poverty, and all matter of social and societal ills. Coming to City Hall, I was really excited to now be able to tackle all of those issues from a proactive, policy-driven approach. I'm so grateful to be serving with a few intrepid women who I now fondly call my quad squad, in that these individuals are sharing in the efforts with me to be the voice of the people. We seek nothing more than what the citizens of Savannah sent us to City Hall to do in 2019. They declared a major indictment across the community where they voted nearly an entire council out and a unique council with a specific set of skills, albeit different in. And so I'm happy to take up the charge. It is a challenge, but we are here to take it for the team, Team Savannah.
Yes.
Welcome.
Dr. Torrey? Dr. Torrey?
Dr. Torrey?
All right. Jamal Torrey, brother Jamal Torrey, a humble servant, a low angel, that's all.
Would you define a love angel to me? Because sometimes I get a little puzzled when people present things. What does a love angel does?
I say a little angel that.
What do little angels do? I guess what big angels do, correct?
I mean, we just serve. We go wherever people need us. That's where we go, wherever the people need us, and we go.
But you're little. That means you can't do a lot of stuff because you're a little person, and we'll take you and squash you like a bug, right?
No, because you can't touch us because we God. That's why I say God. God got us. You can't touch us. We servants of God, the Most High.
So in other words, you should be a big. Other words, you should be a big angel.
You can't do nothing to me. No, I'm saying we are little angels serving the Most High. You can't do nothing. That's why we don't have no fear. I started using profanity, but I had to catch myself. I thought like on Alicia's show, but I had to catch myself. I said, no, like that's why I said again, we ain't no punks. We don't say that. So we little angels. So that's right. We serve our people. Where our people? If our people in pain, we there for our people to address that. We are there to inform, enlighten, inspire. That's what we do. And empower. That's what we do. And we go out. So
act like you on Alicia's show tonight and don't cuss.
I still want my chicken. Ain't not gonna change. I don't forget about that. I still want my chicken.
Okay, Gabrielle said, don't let the size fool you, Charlie Brown. Fall you. Okay, we're going to start out. We got one other. Bernard is still having technical difficulty. Gary Monroe was supposed to come on too, so we'll send him the link in a minute. But let's get it started. And Charlie Brown, you got the, you or Sandra, y'all can have the first question. I don't know which one of y'all want to. I've been talking all week, so like I said, go ahead.
Well, we need to give a backdrop first in telling the audience that there's things going on in the first district. So we need to let the Madam Council Lanier give the backdrop of what's going on in the first district with WTOC and just the whole, just give a backstory summary.
Well, the most prevalent thing going on right now in the first district is the issue of the Salvation Army petitioning to place the homeless shelter and transitional housing on the old Bartow Homes property. And there's a lot of controversy about several things. First of all, whether that development is even compatible or suited for that lot. And based on the vision of the residents, that's a no. And then there some go back and forth about whether that particular piece of the property is the actual Weeping Time property. And based on our studies back from 2008, and when I say our, that's the residential people who discovered, along with the historian, the history of the Weeping Time property, and we have been studying and commemorating that property now since 2008. And the people who are just finding out about it because we are telling the story, they want to come along and have a better understanding and knowledge of our historical asset and our ancestral asset than we do, because that's that white supremacy mindset. They always think they know better than us about our own history, and that's a part of the controversy. But however, what we are experiencing, Ms. McKeithen, is a clash of two visions. There's the vision of the longtime activist residents and the people who have been involved in community planning and organizing. That vision is that land be used for the highest and best use. It's just like a swing of the pendulum. Back in 1859, when the largest slave sale in the history of the United States occurred there, that was the worst of the worst that happened in our community. Now, when the pendulums swing back the other way, which is today, we should be able to utilize that same property for the highest and best use for the residents, the impact the people of this area. And based on those people, that's affordable housing, some type of retail or commercial that generate jobs, a job generator, something that will provide some alternative healthy food sources, community gardens, and this is the type of development that we, the people who have been involved here, who are generational residents, want for that property. Then you have those outside of this community who represent the Salvation Army and who just have an opinion, who live in more affluent areas. They're saying that they believe it should go there. And they really can't justify or tell us why or how, what kind of benefits it will provide, but it's the old systemic and structural racist mindset that think that anything should go in this community, and sometimes it's nothing is better than something if it's the wrong thing. So when they came this way, they probably didn't expect, they expected business as usual. They've always been able to take advantage of these low wealth, poor, vulnerable, marginalized communities, but they didn't expect to see a sister like me, especially one, when I was the neighborhood president for all those many, many years. Of course, you know, they didn't listen and we had to march and fight and picket. But now that I'm sitting in the catbird seat, now that I'm sitting on Aldermanic District 1 seat on city council, they have to listen to me, but they don't like it because they're not used to someone that looked like me and from this area pushing back. And so I just didn't start this work. I've been doing this work for decades. And so we are organized. We have the ability to organize people so we could push back, so we could speak in a collective voice. That's what's been going on. We've been organizing and working and trotting on for many, many years. And now that this business as usual type development wants to come and invade our area, stay out of our community. We got our own problems that we're trying to fix. And just when we get strong enough and smart enough and equipped enough and could partner enough to make a change, and then they want to drop this bomb down on us that will cripple our community probably for another generation. That's just a general background. So therefore, since I am looked at as the head, you know, this is typical. You want to cut the head off and put it on a pole and parade it through the street. So then when everyone see my head on the stick, they wouldn't even try no longer to build themselves up or to do this type work. And so I'm the target, but they could look and they could accuse, and they're not gonna find, but I can point out some things that are actual in some other areas, but that's okay because we're gonna continue to do this work and I can take it.
Okay, that was a long backdrop. Good evening, Alicia.
Hey, I'm Air. Please address me by my stage name, which is Air.
Welcome.
Okay.
Welcome. I see we got the fierce 3 on here, and woo, look at this one down here in the corner. Dr. Teray is on a tear this week. I saw you out there. Thank you for that. I loved it. Everybody was like, "Oh, they tried to put that at Cohen's Retreat." They need to go back to Cohen's Retreat because the food ain't that good no more. They're going to revisit that plan from 20 years ago. Put it on out there, Cohen's Retreat. And people can stand it. They got the soccer field down there, and they can have their kids play soccer, and then they can see what not to do when they see the homeless people walking around and hanging outside the shelter.
Air.
You getting off topic.
Oh, sorry.
You're a host.
Stay focused.
Okay,
Miss Lanier.
You're a host.
Miss Lanier, I wanted to ask you one question. Is the first district still considered a food desert the way it was still 5 years ago, 6 years ago?
There's in the western corridor, the west side, greater west side, there is still food insecurity. It's more like food apartheid because it is so systematic that it's bigger than just a food desert, because a desert is a natural phenomenon. This is apartheid because it's by design. And this is a conversation that Dr. Grimm and I often had, and that we shared, that this is food apartheid. It's bigger than a food desert.
It's bigger than that, yeah.
Wow.
This is an environmental justice.
Absolutely.
It's environmental injustice.
And it was like this before the last leader that was in your position left your position.
Oh, it's been like this for a very long time. I think there was a cultural shift because one time everyone in the first district at one point
put it out there 16 years.
But in the current day environment, yes, it's been this way for a long time. All of the isms, the food situation, the housing situation, the lack of investment, all of that has been here for a very long time, that have rendered this community impoverished by design.
But yeah, structural racism. This is structural racism.
Correct.
I don't mean to imply anything, but has the previous leader ever made comment to why these issues were never addressed under their administration?
The previous leader, who are you talking about? Who are you talking? I don't really have a lot of energy tonight. And
Van Johnson. I'll say it.
Can we call names? Who are you talking about?
Mayor Johnson. Why we hadn't asked Mayor Johnson why he didn't address these issues while he was sitting, spinning around in that first district seat? I want to know that. Can we ask that? Has anybody asked that?
I haven't had that conversation.
Inquiring minds want to know over here in Houston.
Well, that's actually a question for the citizens to ask. And one of the things that's happening now is we have the privilege of having a very engaged electorate. And so people are now plugged in. They are paying attention. They're still watching the news and reading it. But the best thing now is they are exercising the ability to decipher and to navigate and to comprehend and not comprehend all of what the individuals who spew this fake news are trying to paint. And in addition to that, no longer is it good enough for elected officials to simply dress nice, go to baby showers and birthday parties and funerals and offer resolutions and sing a song or play a song. That's not enough. Nor is it enough to simply be Black and be in office. So less than people asking Mayor Johnson the question about what his service was and what his service could be now, I think people are just kind of waiting to send that message similar to what they did in 2019. But for those who would have that thought process and that mindset, what I'm saying in asking essentially what would help us as sitting older persons, our voice is no stronger than your voice. Lend your voice, give your attention to these issues. I am so excited and moved by the outpouring of the number of individuals who have written letters, who have sent emails, who have made phone calls, who have marched from the West Side to City Hall, individuals who are mobilizing. We have one citizen who's produced a whole documentary on this issue. You all here tonight, ATR, this is the type of mobilization and community engagement we have to continuously have. This is a serious matter. I know we try to make light of it just to kind of get through it sometimes, but we mean business. We mean business, and so does the citizens of Savannah. And as difficult and as tough and as abusive as things have been, the personal attacks, I think we're still gaining. We're still gaining.
I have a question. And this, this is in the same vein. Could we have I've been trying to figure out, and I asked this of Dr. Teray last week on my show. Is this PTSS? Is he suffering from post-traumatic slave syndrome, or is this just a bona fide case of bootlicking trustee? I would love to hear from Alderwoman Blakely on this.
I don't know what the hell he's suffering from, but it's not what he said he was going to do at the inauguration on January the 5th, when he said he was going to open that table up for everybody to sit at it, put a leaf in it, and we all would be on a level playing ground. That is no longer the case. So the question you would have to ask is, you would have to ask that to him, because I really can't tell you what he's suffering from. Like Alderwoman Carter stated, we're dealing with isms in our community. We're dealing with a power struggle. They don't want to give up the power. Therefore, they're using other individuals to do their bidding. So I can't tell you what he is, what he's dealing with. I definitely don't think it's post-traumatic slavery syndrome. It has to be, I don't know. You ask him and let me know what he is.
I would love for someone to speak to this. One of the things I heard years ago, speak to this this property buying scam that's been happening on the West Side. I got tons of calls. Back when I was writing for the Herald, from multiple citizens on that side of town. I spoke with another citizen who was a former elected official, who gave me the backdrop on how they did this, where they would take these properties off the tax rolls and have these private auctions and just buying up people's properties. Have you guys heard these things? Is that something that can be substantiated? And does someone need to call for an investigation and an audit by perhaps an overarching investigative agency like GBI or somebody? I'm just throwing that out there. I'll yield that to the Alderwoman.
Let me answer that for you. I've not heard that, but what I do know is that we have right now in our midst a tax commissioner that is not playing the radio. I am so pleased to say that Sonia Jackson, our newly elected tax commissioner, saved almost 50 people from losing their homes on the first Tuesday of this month. So we should be just excited and happy that we have someone there that is definitely doing what she said she was going to do, and that is to support and represent the people.
I saw that. I was very proud of that. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dr. Teray.
Now, when you're saying the private auctions, now, not unless what they're talking about is that when the county, and at times what happened, the county will do what they call a surplus auction. What happens at times, there's property that is now titled in the name of the county, but title still has to be clear. But you can go to the surplus auction, and there's not something that's done. It's not held every month. That is whenever the county makes a determination with regard to saying, okay, we got all the surplus property right now, we need to do an auction. And what will occur, you can go to it. They put a notice up and they say they have a surplus auction. And to be frank with you, I've gone to the surplus auction. And what is there? There are a number of Caucasians who are there, and because they've already gone and looked and spotted some of the properties. When I went to it, it was property right off the Truman Parkway. There was properties that were in Tremont, in Ogeechiton. So again, they begin looking at it, and all they got to do is not pay the auction price but then go and just do quiet title. And quiet in the title is approximately for some attorneys, for some law firms, about $5,000, and then they have the property. So now that's why I can't go and say that's a backdoor deal. There is notification about it, and which I've done at times. And one of the person who I purchased property from under surplus auction was Pat Monahan, our former interim city attorney, but that's when he was with the county. So that is something that's happened, and that's something that we need to make ourselves abreast of also. So it's not just the sales on the first Tuesday of the month, but occasionally, eventually, the county will have what they call surplus property auctions.
But when does this become a form of insider trading, so to speak?
When does it become a backdoor deal? When is it illegal? What's the gray area?
Yeah. When you have wait a minute. When you have councilmen and former mayors creating investment groups in order to buy said properties that they know about and make these purchases that are not known to, say the public, like myself. Charlie, do you know about these properties? Okay, so if you don't know about these properties and I don't know about these properties, they're not really well known to the public. And if you have a council person and a former mayor that forms a investment group and they're buying up these properties in the first district and in these districts where they know that gentrification is possibly coming through. Well,
I think
Let Charlie fit the answer.
Now, I was just gonna state, I think one of the first things you need to do is Sonia Jackson is educating the people, and that's one of the platforms she ran on. And what it is, the representative and the ones who understand how it works should educate their constituents in their district, because we don't know about it. A great deal of it, just because a person look a certain way, that don't mean they know how it works. And like I always go to two things. When an individual fails, it's only two key reasons: lack of information and lack of knowledge, so they can make certain decisions. And I like to say good evening to Bernard too. He just came on, but he's not here now. But
he's having some connection issues.
And
Charlie, when you gonna give us more than just one of your sayings?
Don't talk over me. I told you about that, Errol. Okay? Don't stop me, because I'll come and box you in your right eye.
You will not have
against women.
Mr. Charlie Brown.
Yes.
Now, number one, I'm an advocate for women.
Oh, that's correct.
Number two,
that was.
It's International Women's Month.
That's right. Congratulations. I should have boxed in.
If I'm counting correctly, you men are outnumbered, so I suggest you fall in line.
Miss Carter, did you hear what I say? I apologize. It should have been 2 eyes, not one. But
you know what?
You see what I did? You see how they treat me?
It's humor, but I shouldn't go there. I'm sorry.
It's not a laughing matter. Stop it.
I apologize. It's humor, okay. But what I say,
we need to check on Charlie's wife.
We need to be educated somehow. And if the person that represents you in that particular district, please educate the people and help them out as much as possible, because they don't really know. We really don't know.
But I feel like this is all ethics and conflict of interest. We do these type of things.
There's definitely something going on. So I would love to hear from Bernetta Lanier. What are I know I came in a little bit later. what are the, so I'll put this out there. I saw this crazy news story that said, oh, Alderwoman Lanier's opposition to the Salvation Army shelter is tied to another proposal. And here's what I said in your defense. I said, so what? Her job is to advocate for the proposal that best suits the needs of her district. It should be tied to another proposal. That's how you advocate for people. You don't just go in and fight stuff and don't have a solution. If that's the case, if you're fighting something, you gotta say that sucks. This one is better, and that's how it's supposed to go. So I would love for you to speak to that, because I get so mad when these Mzungus, this Mzungu media starts, and that's the new word. Y'all all are welcome to use that. That's the Swahili for white folks. They use it in Africa. Mzungus. Just be careful who you read, who you say it in front. So when the Mzungu media starts attacking us like with dumb, illogical things, I was like, of course it's tied to something else. They've seen the proposals. This one's better than that one. And it's supposed to be the highest and best use. And we know that, and I know that you are a certified economic developer. You are, and I always say this, the most qualified person sitting on council to solve the economic woes of Savannah, period. Talk to us a little bit about that, because we're not having it this year.
So let's go back. Yes, ma'am. Let's go back just a little bit, 15 years, 16 this year. So in 2005, because of the underinvestment, because of the gentrification that was coming towards the west side, I founded an organization that made a plan. We had to have a plan, and we had to be in an alliance of residents throughout these communities to execute the plan. You hear people talking about buying the block. Well, it's the same type of concept like buying the block. Instead of other folks coming and buying up our community, the Ivory Bay is about us coming together to purchase our own community and use our people to build the houses that we need, so we could have a circular economy where what we build, we produce, and that dollar would turn over inside of our community more than one time and leave. It could turn over 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So our goal is to build wealth in low wealth communities, and you have to turn the dollars over in the hands of the people in the community to make sure that you build wealth in the community. So as a nonprofit, no particular entity is going to be at the top getting rich. For a nonprofit where the profit and the benefits go back to the people of the community, that is what was created. But like I explained earlier, what's indicative of a CDC is a round table, not that rectangular table where you got someone at the head and the tail. You're putting a leaf in it. That round table has a seat for everyone, be it the residents and their representation, be it developers, be it the city alderperson has a seat, and business people, labor leaders have a seat, clergy have a seat, and we're all at this table working for the betterment of the good of community. And that's what Ivory Bay is all about, community development coverage. We want to develop our community, but I think we could develop our community better than the other folks could develop our community, because we know what we need and we know what we want, and if we do it in a nonprofit fashion. So once I became elected, I had to change seats. I had to get up out the CEO and the board seat, and I had to sit in the aldermanic seat, because for 16 years, that seat, well, 15 years, that seat had been empty. And that's really important for the success of the vision of the people, is to have our aldermanic representative, the person we elect, sitting in the seat at the table to help us at the table. Now I'm in that seat. But to sit in that seat, it's a lot of able people. I couldn't wear all the hats. So I took off the hat of the CEO, and I removed the hat of the board, and I'm sitting on the mandate seat. So I'm advocating from the policy level on the city council for the desires of the community. However, in 2005, I'm the one, because of my skill set, and we all bring different things to the table, but that's my discipline of economic development, asset-based economic development. And so therefore, I am the founder of this organization, because I saw the federal government created this type of organization for just the reason we're using it, to give marginalized people an opportunity to partner and work with alliances. And they like to fund alliances. So if you know anything about grants these days, if you write into your grant that you're in an alliance of clergy and labor and all of your community people, and you will get that money 9 times out of 10, because that's what grantors are looking at. And we've done all the work. We've dotted our I's and we've crossed our T's. So we make no apologies that we want to develop our community for equity and to build wealth. That's what's going on.
Brother Lanier, Sister Lanier, Brother Anthony said, keep fighting, we got your back. And so just keep fighting, sister.
And I'm not fighting by myself. The people in the first district, the people in this Ivory Bay corridor, we like to say the corridor is from Hudson Hill to Tatumville, but in the first district part of the corridor, over to Ageechee Road, they have risen up. We have organized, and that's a scary thing to the power to be. When they see people look like us organized and come together, and we're marching and we're talking and we're working and we're strategizing and we're conducting community business as corporate business, and we know what we're talking about and we know how we can build wealth. And that's why it makes a lot of people nervous.
Well, you got Sister Melinda Gwynn and Tanya Howell Hall say they behind you too. But that's one of the things I said today at the press conference, that they're not used to these type of leaders. They're not used to you people. I'm serious. They're not. They're used to somebody just coming and voting and getting the hell on, getting paid under the table and getting the hell on.
Yeah.
And they're not used to y'all questioning them. They're not used to y'all reading the documents and studying this stuff and seeing what's going on. They're not used to that.
And
so
Julia,
y'all are throwing them off balance.
Let me say this, and people saying that Renetta has an agenda. She has an agenda. Well, y'all haven't been listening. I've been yelling that from the mountaintops since 2005. Chandra, you know I have. That I have an agenda. My agenda
I work with
is
you
to my people and educate my people so we could build wealth in low wealth communities.
That's correct.
That's economic development. It's no secret. I have an agenda to build wealth for my people.
That's how they get us with that ignorance.
That is correct.
To have agenda.
On Thursday, I think they're going to have a big vote. It's about.
What was you saying, Dr. Teray? Give Dr. Teray yield for a minute, Charlie.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
I was saying that folks have agendas also, and they manifest and they work their agendas. And their agendas are based on their friends, it's based on cronyism, it's based on relationships, it's based on, at times, relationships regarding CETA, with regard to the Chamber of Commerce. So they have agendas that are in place that also those agendas and what have historically happened for us for decades have ignored the Black community, and the Black communities have been cannon fodder for them just to be workers, and that's it. So the agenda, so you have to have an agenda. And this is what I tell folks is, because I have to throw out there, we've had some people elected to office, and they had an agenda of vengeance, of getting revenge on certain people. And I tell folks, once they got their revenge, guess what? They then were like leaves in the wind. They went wherever a group of people told them to go. So yes, you need to have an agenda when you are elected to office. You allegedly have a platform. Your platform is your agenda. So ain't nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the thing with us is, each of us came to City Hall with an agenda. Each of us came and ran on a platform. Unfortunately, Van Johnson pulled the rug from under us when he strategically maneuvered to essentially change our charter. It first started with this whole fake. I was introduced to him first as Nick Palumbo's mentor. This dude named Gordon Matthews, who doesn't even live in Savannah. He lives at Tybee Island. So he, for whatever reason, at our arrival, and the only thing I could take from it is it's because of our appearance. He submitted a letter to the delegation requesting that we change the Savannah form and style of government from a weak mayor style form of government to a strong mayor style and form of government. Then, in short order, after this hit the media, we were actually in Tifton, Georgia, when we learned of this coming from a GMA conference. And we had been hearing little grumblings about changing the charter and this rules package, this, that, and the third. only to have the real evidence actually show itself in the form of how we were actually being treated. We essentially were being treated as individuals who were under a strong mayor style and form of government. Now, the beauty of what we're doing here is not only is our electorate becoming more engaged, our electorate is also, because of us and because of our arrival, our electorate is also becoming more educated, and they're becoming more knowledgeable of the processes. And so when we help people understand that this is how our local government works, much like probably 75% of the municipalities in the state of Georgia. There are a few that have a strong mayor form of government. The importance of this is, and I'll try to reduce this down to as simple as I can. If we were afforded the opportunity to go about in a way of policymakers, I was so excited. I was excited to serve with Alderwoman Alicia Miller Blakely, because I felt like if anyone was going to have my back, it was going to be her. She wasn't going to let anything go down. But and then she tells me that I'm the one who makes her look like a poodle, and I'm the bulldog. But it was Alderwoman Lanier who really took us to school on the campaign trail after the presentation of the 2035 plan or 2033 plan or 2030 plan that Alderwoman Blakely sort of woke us up to and enlightened us that like she was sounding the alarm. This is what's coming. This is what's coming. We have to work against this. And then we had Alderwoman Lanier come with a style of from academia. She basically schooled us on the principles of asset-based economics when it comes to building communities, economic drivers. She introduced a whole community of individuals who didn't know what that jargon was all about. And so helping us recognize that a lot of our poverty issues are actually public health issues. And so that's the mindset that we have. And so when we start thinking as elected officials in that way, we become different. Not only do we become different, but we become better. Not only are we better, but we're special. We're special, we're better, we're different, because we are now looking at making change via policies, not through rhetoric, not through broken promises, but we are looking at putting the letter to the paper and publishing it into public record and adopting it. But when you have Van Johnson, a 16-year skilled politician who comes in short order, and I'm going to tell you all here tonight, and I'm going to tell the whole public and the listening audience, that prior to December 3rd, prior to that election, that election between he and Eddie Deloach, when all of us had won, minus Curtis Purdy, the remainder of us who won our races on November 6th, Alicia and I garnering the most votes.
Yes.
We were a united front. And for the first time, there was an excitement in the air that felt like, could it really be real that we can have a council of 9 people unified? Because by all accounts, at the end of the day, we were all Democrats. 7 out of 9 were African American. 5 of us were women. What more would Black women do for her community? And it doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter what gender you are. It wouldn't matter who you slept with that night. It wouldn't matter what side of town you lived on. 5 Black women on city council. We were poised and uniquely situated to flip this city on its behind. But Van Johnson sat back, and you all go look at Curtis Purdy's page. Look at Alderwoman Linda Wilder Bryan's page.
I want to ask a question real quick.
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
Look at Dietrich Leggett's page, and you will see pictures posted of us in a group. We were going to sessions together, carpooling together. We were all cordial. And Alicia, forgive me if I say this, But there was actually some rift between you, Dietrich, and Linda as we arrived in office. But guess what? We squashed all that on inaugural night. And we all declared that we were going to move forward and we were going to be unified. But I'm telling you, that man, Van Johnson, he sat back, that skilled 16-year politician. He sat back and he saw this unified front. And all he had in his mind was his 5. While we were and he strategically worked along with the establishment. And however they did it, all I know is I didn't want any of it. I didn't want to be a part of it because I don't want anything that I didn't come to City Hall without. I don't want anything that they're selling or giving. I don't need an account at Christ. I don't need home improvements around my house that I can't pay for out of my own pocket. I don't need nobody to start a business for me or donate to my nonprofit because I don't have one. So post December 3rd, that man, Van Johnson, he worked strategically to divide this council, and he hasn't taken one step to unify us at all. In fact, he has strategically worked overtime to divide us, to show us up, and to keep us separate. But I am so committed to stand on the side of truth and to continue to speak it. And for full disclosure, this ain't my first rodeo with him, and this ain't my first rodeo with evil. And so we will continue to call it out, to decree and declare victory for our people, and stand on what the citizens of Savannah sent us to City Hall to do. And that is not to extend bonds to Rockingham Farms, where our voting records match our donor dollars, when they're donating to your campaign and you're voting to give them bonds. What we won't do we will not stand by a debacle of a CARES Act fund released from the federal government when you have 50 businesses receiving up to $50,000 and only 2 of them are African American and 90% of them are from the downtown corridors. What we will not do is sit idly by when you don't get your way in executive session and you cheat the city manager process because you didn't get your pick. And then you file an ethics complaint on me for using curse words when I did your process. And I did not curse anyone. I did not hit anyone with a purse. What I did was I stood and I decided that day that we were not going to go any further in this process with this foolishness and manipulation. So what we will continue to do is we will stand for people when they don't want the expansion of a landfill in their community, when they don't want to have a permit change for a special use in their community. That's what we're going to do. And then at the end of the day, you be the judge. But what I'm telling you, Savannah, what I'm telling you, don't wait for 3 years to vote these people out of office. You continue to stay engaged. You continue to connect. And it's not about supporting us. It's not about feeling sorry for us. I bless God for the ATR and for Julius, a man like you have in our back. But more than that, we have babies who are dying on the streets of Savannah.
That's right.
And when you have a mayor who is sitting on the watch where we have increased the number of homicides, eclipsed it from 1 year to the next, and it's not even getting better now, and you have the audacity to come out of your mouth and say we don't need a Black people task force, and you want to say that the city council is the Black people task force, the very same city council where you close out the majority of the Black people and you don't give them a voice? Whose brain do you think you're dealing with?
Come with it.
I want to ask this question. Thank you for that, Alderwoman Gibson-Carter. We appreciate that. We appreciate all of you. He is an absolute atrocity. We know this now. He's the harbinger of division on council. You know, we see you. We see you. We see you. Here's a question. This has been coming up in the audience. Nick Palumbo, Alderman Nick Palumbo, is asking for a 30-day postponement. Can you, Alderwoman, tell us briefly about what this is? Any one of you?
I can't because I'm not a friend. So I've heard what was on the Facebook page, but I have my thoughts about it because there have been so much outpouring. For the last couple of days, I have been speaking to people around the country up into the midnight hours, attorneys, lay people, people, wealthy people who are just looking at the situation and know that something's not right, and they are capable and able to help us here in Savannah, and they're advocating for us, and they have been contacting counsel. And I think they know that these are some heavy hitters. We finally got some traction of some outside help that comes with a lot of resources. I mean, these are large corporations, CEO wives, and they're calling, they're trying to help us. And I think they're getting some attention. They're getting the attention of some of our council people. So they really got to slow down and think this thing out to see how it's going to impact their political future.
You know what? This is somebody, and this is news to me. This is breaking news to me, actually. Because I'm not a friend and I don't read this stuff either. But you know, this is laughable. These people don't even have the decency to be original. This is the same MO. This is out of the same playbook when they filed the ethics complaint on me. Okay, so WTOC reports that two older persons, they don't name them, indicate that there is some nefarious dealing and potential financial benefit on behalf of Alderwoman Lanier. And so, as opposed to contacting Alderwoman Lanier, maybe calling a special executive session and having that conversation between us as colleagues, if these are the individuals who want to work together. But no, you go directly to the media. This is exactly what they did to me when they decided to file an ethics complaint. You don't go to the city attorney for advice. You don't go to the city manager for advice, or the mayor, supposedly, because you don't even write the way that thing was passed. But you go straight to the media.
Needs to read this comment.
So here's what it is right here. It says from Nick's page, as long as there is even a question or appearance of impropriety from an elected official, it's a full stop. We need to thoroughly clear the air so we could, well, you know, I'm the grammar police, should be can, but so we can evaluate the proposal with an informed, objective mind. I will be requesting this agenda item be continued for 30 days to clear the air, afford the opportunity for the truth to come forward, and hope that all parties can work together for a proposal that works in the best interest of the city as a whole. So this is virtue signaling. This is virtue signaling.
About that. That's BS. Let me say something about that city as a whole thing. What we need to be looking at is why that we have changed the trash collection and the litter pickup details in the city, and we have ended those services in all of the neighborhoods except for Ardsley Park and downtown. Look at that. Then don't be telling me about the city as a whole. I'm talking about West Savannah. We are the community. The rest of the city has profited off our back. So now that it's our time to get out, don't come to me with this city as a whole. I'm talking about the west side and where the poverty lies. And if it's in a piece of poverty, the second or the fifth, those are the people that needs the help. If you looking at a body, the money of the body in Savannah is our budget. So in your body, if you cut your knee, you're going to get all the blood rushing to your knee and the pus to help that heal. You don't just have the blood over here in the arm, and the arm strong and the muscle strong. So the money needs to go where the problem is. And right now that's in these areas that are marginalized. Another thing, so last year, those people downtown in the state economic opportunity zone, they were able to build all of those structures around Farm Street. They were able to utilize the poverty in Yamacraw to qualify to get all these breaks to be able to build all of that new development. Now that it's up, you tell me that the housing authority and these folks want to shut Yamacraw down and push the people out. Now they use the people poverty to fill up the area. Now you want to push the people out. So these are the kind of things. Don't tell me about the city as a whole. And so we need policies that are data driven. And what we should have on council is a vote where the mayor breaks the tie.
That's right.
Everyone will see who's making the decision on who gets what and by design. And if it's a 4-4 vote, then the mayor needs to come in and decide what side he's going to align with. But that's not what is happening right now. The mayor is leading for instead of breaking the tie and determining where, and then everyone will be able to see. If that was the case, everyone would see. It's like it's a bottleneck, and where all of the funds or the opportunity or the resources stop at before it can get to the people that need it, it's that fifth vote. So we need to isolate that fifth vote and have the mayor come up and break the tie, and everybody will be able to see and determine why we're not getting what it is that we need. So all of that, what they're talking about holding it up and the impropriety, and furthermore, Ivory Bay never petitioned to be a developer of the property. They don't even have the information, but I guess that's what they want to do, and I'll be so glad to give them all the information.
Yeah, because I mean, you know, when I saw the information on WTOC, I said, first of all, how is a shelter? How is Miss Lanier's, you know, saying that she doesn't want a shelter contributing to economic development in her area, you know? So I was the one that asked them, why is this nefarious? You know, and if she's no longer the CEO, because I knew this, I knew you were smart enough to relinquish, you know, your hand as CEO of that before you let that go out there like that. So I asked them, but nobody ever got back with me. You know, when I pushed out all of those facts, and I tagged you in it, Bernetta. I tagged you in my reply to them. But I told what's that, Saria Silent or whatever her name is in the morning. I said, before you guys do these investigative reports, you need to do your whole report, you know. And then I want to ask the question that came up this morning. How is it that they could hold that property and sell that property for $500,000 and the property is worth a whopping $1 million? Say it, Alicia. What it was? What $1 million?
Which property are you talking about? Or which Alicia are you talking to?
Your Air. You going by your stage name, Your Air.
That's right.
Right.
Anywhere from 1.2 to 1.5 million dollars. You know,
So-
and I'm listening to you all talking. You know, I cannot understand why these folk don't get it. The equity needs to be spread evenly across the board. We in a city is as strong as our weakest link. And right now, the weakest link is African Americans. I cannot even understand why they would want to put a homeless shelter in West Savannah unless there was another ulterior motive. And y'all, I got to say this here. We are fighting against not just flesh and blood, but this is a spiritual warfare. And we are fighting against principalities and folks in high places. Pay attention. Pay attention to what's really going on. Please.
So interesting enough, this is, like Dr. Teray said on my show this past Friday, Savannah has been used to the Black folks being the slaves, the white folks being the slave owners, and I used to argue all the time with some of the other local white media. The same families who were some of the biggest slave traders in Savannah, Georgia, are still in power. They are still. We got the great granddaughters. One of y'all, I'm not gonna say no names. One of the white activists in Savannah is from a family with so much old slave money out here. All that fortune that white activist had.
We need to know who that is.
I don't, because it's their personal information, and from what I have perceived, I have not seen them do anything bad other than be a bona fide colonial philanthropist. I'll share that with you offline. But I won't say it if somebody's watching saying it. I haven't seen this person do anything bad, but I will tell you this: it's some nonprofits in the city profiting off of our Black kids in the name of coloring books, and it's some white folks that's out there. They listen. A lot of white liberalism wants Black folks to subsist on the nonprofit model. They don't want us to be empowered with CDCs to actually build businesses and empires. They want us to take these handouts. They want us they want to keep feeding us food and giving us handouts so we can stay dependent on their hands. And that's why they keep building hotels.
Errol, one of the reasons.
I'm glad you brought that up, because with regard to nonprofits, since we've been at the table, one of the things we also have noticed is that our nonprofit allocations within the city of Savannah, it is quite politicized. So whoever is in power and whatever nonprofit organization is in the pocket or who is a supporter of that person who is in power, that's the nonprofit organization who will get the most money. So when you look at our nonprofit allocations from the city of Savannah grant dollars, and you see arts organizations, you see youth organizations getting more money than rape services
and Greenbrier
for children who are runaways and throwaways. When you see an organization who hasn't been in business more than 2 years, and that organization is getting $25,000 to $30,000 more than a stalwart of an agency who serves children, and then when you tie those individuals directly back to the mayor's campaign, the thing that baffles me about all this is that these people do these things in plain sight.
Yep.
They don't even try to hide it.
What take place, you don't really matter. But at the same time, ATR has given you the platform tonight, and that's why I want you guys to express yourself. Maybe WTOC, SAV, JCL, or whoever may not give you this opportunity. So I want you to express what you're doing and let the people know what's going on, because a lot of people don't actually know exactly what's going on because the major news network and Savannah Morning News are not giving you this platform. So ATR are telling you to express yourself, and I want you guys to do most of the talking. We don't. We need to hear what you have to say and how we can help you as John Q. Public. We'll get into that, but I want you guys to express, because we got the hosts of this show. We want to give this communication to all the people who listen to ATR Media, okay? So you guys can just talk freely and talk about things that
Charlie Brown, there's a comment here that says, Amir reminded us how in 2002 they wanted to stick a shelter in Bacon Park, and guess what happened? No way, no how. I would like for him to just enlighten us on what happened there, because we might be able to use some of their tactics that they used in order to stop what they're trying to do over in West Savannah. I think he's gone, but if any of you all know, I would like to know what happened in 2002 with Bacon Park.
Okay, that's the Cohen's retreat story, but let Jamal tell that. But meanwhile, until he get back, I need to clarify something. So through this long advocacy and this pushback against the Salvation Army shelter, we've been criticized by folks. You people always saying what you don't want. You people don't want any development over there. You don't know what you want. And I knew that was a lie, because we have had a discussion in our meetings for years as to what we want and need in our community. But true to form, we did not have anything written down. A certain local developer, Mr. Rich Ferguson, approached me as we were being criticized for not knowing what we want. And he said, I will create a concept plan of what the people are saying they want, and you could show them this the plan of the direction and what you all would like to go in. So we were so happy to get that help. As soon as he emailed that we were being criticized, I shared it with the complete council. I was so happy to get it some help and had a vision to show these people this is what we want, not a homeless shelter. We need this type of development. So it was a concept plan. When he attended our weekly meeting at Solomon Temple Church, Sundays 4 o'clock on Augusta Avenue, I presented Mr. Ferguson to the room full of residents and said, Mr. Ferguson has created a concept proposal. And we're going to share this. We have shared this with council. But once we get the Salvation Army moved to another location, then because we are Avenue resident development, we will come together as a community to create a plan of what we actually want. This is a placeholder. This is a filler showing them this is the type of vision we want. Mr. Ferguson called me back in a couple of weeks and said, look, I think I'm going to submit this plan to the MPC to show them there's an alternative plan. And so he did, but he did two things when he did that. He gave it a name, the Weeping Time Village, and he added Ivory Bay in as a partner because in his experience of being a developer, this is what he was accustomed to, seeing CDCs partner with construction developers and doing this partnering for this type of development. And that's when the everything hit the fan. Unfortunately, the CEO of Ivory, Dr. Graham, and her board did not get an opportunity to see the plan or vet the plan or agree to the plan. They did not submit the plan. So the plan was there with Ivory Bay's name on it without Ivory Bay's permission, but it was a concept of what the community wanted as opposed to a homeless shelter. So we need to understand it's a lot of moving parts, a lot of issues. We got to learn how to separate our issues because Ivory Bay never presented a plan or a proposal that's of developing that. Not saying it was a bad idea, but that's the way it happened. It was done by very helpful who thought he was doing the right thing to help us, Mr. Ferguson.
You said something key, Alderwoman Lanier, separating our issues. Mm-hmm. And when I look at the insertion of this issue involving you and the timing of such, it baffles me. And my pastor has a saying that goes, the greatest enemy of direction is distraction.
That's right.
And so essentially, the orchestrated media attack against you was to distract and divert the attention from the issue. And the issue is, I try not to even mention Salvation Army's name and their mission in the midst of this, because the real issue is the petition to rezone the property in that the residents of that area would just simply like for the zoning to remain the same so that they could benefit from its intended use in the purpose of the issue. And I still, and I don't want to make this about me, but what I do want to help people see is the theme and the mode of operandi when it comes to these people. They're not even bright, they're not even original, and that's why they have such an issue with us, because we're beautiful, we're bold, and we're intelligent, and we would never gravitate to these low roads and do these type of things. The whole issue with the ethics complaint was to divert the attention from the fact that you just didn't want to select the most qualified candidate to be the city manager. And for full disclosure, it came down to a white guy and a black guy. And you, Alderwoman Blakely, and you, Alderwoman Lanier, know that I was the only one. I was the only one among all of us on council who was willing to vote for any of the top two candidates, black or white. I would have voted for the white man from Arizona, and I voted and supported the black man from South Fulton, because they both were skilled, talented men who had a backbone, and I knew that they wouldn't allow Van Johnson to roll them over, or steamroll them over, that they would be a man and they would be able to stand up like no other interim city manager has been able to do between Michael Brown and Pat Monahan. Not that Pat Monahan wanted to stand up to Van Johnson. And as I always stated over these last couple of weeks, I want to congratulate Eddie DeLoach on his second term. You a bad man. Your platform.
They're never gonna want. They're never gonna want a black outspoken man.
Eddie DeLoach, everything that you wanted to get done. Guess what, buddy? We need to change some history because Eddie DeLoach is a 2-term mayor.
So give the people. I would like to ask the alderwomen tonight. Give the people some marching orders. What do the people? Because we hear you, we know what's going on. Now let's talk about what's next. What we gonna do about it? Because I love this, but what they're doing now, they're gonna keep us distracted, complaining about what the problem is. We need an agenda. Give the people some marching orders. What is the next step? What do we need to be asking for? How do the people come out and support you? And do you ladies have your own Black policy agenda that you can publish, share, and we can distribute widely so that we can flood City Hall with, we don't want that, we want this. Because we sent those people. Now, 2 of you, here, I'm going to say this. I got to say this real quick. Savannah really voted in Alicia Miller Blakely as mayor. I'm just going to put that out there. She got the most votes in a citywide contest in the general election. Listen, a runoff don't count to me. Your ass lost. And you came back and won because the majority of the people voting looked like you. You was our skin folk, but we know you wasn't our kin folk. We ain't had no choice. So you won. Your blackness got you in there. But Savannah voted in Alicia Miller Blakely. She got the most in the general election. She spanked Tony Center.
They might have already forgotten the question. What was the question?
The question is, what is the agenda?
Dr. Ray explain the Bacon Park situation.
Yes.
Why we let him explain that?
Right. But let me say this for the viewing audience. If you're looking right now and you don't live in West Savannah and you have family members that don't live in West Savannah, pick up the phone, call those people that's in the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, and the 6th district and tell them to call their elected officials and vote no for the change for the zoning in that area. That's on tomorrow. I already see the boo game when they say they're going to ask for a 30-day postponement. No, we can't do another 30 days. All we want is for them to find another place to put Salvation Army, not on sacred property, not in a marginalized area. Pick up that phone. Call all of your representatives. This is for everybody in the city of Savannah. I don't care what color you are, because we got folk calling from all over the country saying that what they're getting ready to do would be a travesty.
And so to answer your question here, the citizens have already done what we need them to do. And that's why they're asking for this 30-day postponement. As John McMasters has just stated, they need this 30 days to now continue to smear Alderwoman Lanier, or they'll come up with something new. It may be one of us on the chopping block. Who knows? But the thing is, we're winning.
They're not coming for me because I'm going for their grandmama, great-grandmama, great-great-grandmama. We going all the way down the line.
We're winning and we're gaining. So the citizens have done it. They've mobilized. I mean, everything from the documentary to the march to people writing the letters and sending the emails. And you know what? To your point, I'm so glad that you have those numbers. You also have the numbers that also acknowledge that 4 of us essentially would not be in office had it not been for the 1st district and the 5th district.
That's right.
And the fact that these people now have to write these letters, they have to mobilize and take these marches. After they sent us to office, they've already voted. Not only did they vote, but they went back to the polls and voted again. Myself, Alderwoman Lanier, Alderwoman Blakely, and Alderwoman Shabazz would not be in office. Well, Shabazz, Dr. Shabazz was unopposed, but we would not be in office in Van Johnson. We would not be in office had it not been for those 2 districts who sent us to City Hall. And the best that we can do in exchange for their vote is to do what they ask us to do. The people want a development on the fairgrounds. the first district does not want the use to change, the permit to the petition for that permit to be upheld. So when we ask people to go to the polls and vote for us, this is why, Mr. Hall, you have to work so hard on the Get Out the Vote campaign. Mr. Charlie Brown, this is why y'all have to work so hard, because the people send us to City Hall, and in short order, we forget about what we ran on, we forget about what we stood for and campaigned on, and then we do the whole bait and switch. And so people become demotivated. But we want to continue to encourage the citizens to stay the course and recognize that this is a part of the game. But the beauty of our arrival is we didn't come to play the game. We came to change the game.
That's right.
And the methods that we have been incorporating, I'm telling you, they are so stunned and so confused right now. And so before long, they keep up with all of the maneuvering, all of the cheating and all of the stealing. It's going to catch up with them.
The predator will eventually overhunt.
Jamal, I want Jamal to explain the Bacon Park situation. They said he had information on what took place. Jamal, can you discuss sort of what took place over in Bacon Park?
Until he get back.
He's having connection issues. So go ahead.
Let me add something until he get back. The city of Savannah is a corporation. And you as a taxpayer, you are a stockholder as well as a stakeholder in the city of Savannah. And if you are not getting an equitable return on your investment, you need to come to the stockholders meeting, city council, and you need to raise sand or fire the CEO. Fire the chairman of the board, because you're not getting a good return on your public investment. You're not getting a good return. This is a corporation. If your trash isn't getting picked up correctly, or no litter control on your side of town, or this stuff is so embedded. When I ran for office, I thought that if I got at the table and I got in that chair and I could present a very informed argument that's data driven, that we'll be able to make some changes. But that systemic racism and that structural racism at city council is so embedded that you would really have to clean house in order to eliminate what's going on there. And it's expensive to be poor. It's expensive to be poor. It's all of those predatory companies out there taking advantage of poor people. And even the city has some predatory type practices in the water bill and in the trash bill. It's expensive to be poor. So a plan like a CDC plan, an Ivory Bay plan, where people will align themselves to negotiate for benefits for themselves, to use the assets in their community to leverage those and build wealth. That's the way we're supposed to be going. And some of the tools we need to use are community benefit strategic approach, community benefit agreements, and there are a lot of others. Even we need to charge fees to these developers, development fees, and we're not doing any of that. And it's expensive to be poor, but there are some luchas, there are some scientific, and there are some documented ways that we could work ourselves away from these conditions, but we're not employing any of those measures. And that's what we need to do, is change the way we do business. The people are doing what they're supposed to do. The problem is with our government. They don't understand that they work for us. They work for the people. We work for the people. But the problem is with the problems that we talked about earlier with the city council, but it's deeper than that. It's embedded throughout the staff.
Thank you.
Okay. There's the Jamal. We're going to get the Jamal so he can go ahead and do this before we blank out.
Yeah, because my main device overheated, so we've been on the phone for a long time. But what happened let me go back in time. There's something Alderwoman Bryant Lanier said. She talked about that area on Farm Street, and they used the demographic, used the numbers from Yamacraw. What I was trying to get in to tell y'all, this is not the first time that they have used numbers like that to develop areas. When you look at that Eastern Wharf area, going on the east side, presidential, what they did back in the early 2000s, they went and used the numbers from Fred Wessels and his village to now, and the same thing was now that, again, they are developing that Savannah Landing area, not for the masses of the people, but for them. That's what they have historically done with us. And I tell folks what it comes down to, what I call poverty dumping, that they're going to dump it all in one area so they contain for the people who are impoverished. But for the wealth, they make sure it's concentrated, but they'll use our numbers and they never help us. And that was done that a former mayor, an African-American mayor, allowed that to occur. That's why a former African-American mayor ran for office and people got mad at him because he ran. He said, you know what they're doing? They're using the numbers from the poor people and here you go, we got a black mayor in who's allowed it to occur. So I gotta run. This type of cry has always gone on. That's why it's nothing new. So what happened in the early 2000s? Union Mission and the Chattanooga Savannah Authority for the Homeless wanted to create a shelter or a home, a facility for, in particular, women and with children to not have a place where they could reside. And they thought that the best place was that Cohen Retreat in Bacon Park. So, and the move was that everyone thought it was about to happen. But guess what? The residents didn't realize what was going to go over there at homeless shelter. They were absolutely livid about it and proceeded to have meetings. And then they had one large session where you got people actually like hanging on the gate that they're so having a shelter there. The homeless authority, you mentioned, decided to shy away. But here you go, African American leadership also knew what was going on and understood the need that was going on. How did I meet Keisha Gibson-Carter, Alderwoman Keisha Gibson-Carter? Because I was in charge of 2 homeless programs. And I had to deal with her about trying to get housing for her clients. So I'm thinking, because we're going to have to deal with this matter of women and children being a major part of our homeless issue. And it wasn't enough beds for them in the city. And even today, the same thing. So what occurred, it was the community. So that's why I say it's ironic and also hypocritical when people now try to jump into West Savannah and say the people of West Savannah should not be clamoring against Salvation Army being over there. When again, we go, Blakely and others have put out there earlier, what the whole deal came down to, SCAD is using excuses saying that their students are afraid of the homeless people on Montgomery Street in MLK. But as we have said in the 5th district and in the 1st district before, we said you knew what was there when you moved there.
When you moved there.
Right. That's right.
That's right.
That's
You
right.
can't move right next door to me and then tell me to get out.
That's what happened. And what happened, these partnerships that our people, that again, our elected officials have with these folks, they just allow the stuff to go on and they say nothing to them. So now when you have all the women who have the audacity to speak up, they get mad with that. Just as you all were saying earlier, they get pissed off. How dare they speak out against this? But again, it shows an example of here go a predominantly Caucasian neighborhood. They don't want to even look out for women and children. So again, they didn't want to look out for women and children. And it wasn't, as I tell folks, it wasn't about having men over there. It was women and children that they are anti that. But now here you go, poverty dumping in a Black community, but still yet, when it is to your advantage, you're going to use those numbers because that's what they want to develop. West Savannah, Hudson Hill, Woodsville, because they want to be able to then gentrify that area. So that's why you limit economic opportunity.
That's right.
What happens now, people will automatically want to sell their property. And then when they sell a property, it is going to be cheap. It's going to be even, in some cases, lower than a fair market value. That's why they do. It's all about it.
But I bet you they won't give none of them no 100-year land lease like they gave the Tenenbaums for a darn parking lot. For a darn parking lot.
Yeah.
But you know, it's so sad that some of our people have the Stockholm syndrome where you know, they want to partner with the oppressor, and but that's been prevalent throughout history, and so that's a problem also because they like to point to 1 or 2 people who are in partnership with the powers that be and say, well, they want it, and that's sad, you know.
And then they use them up. They use them up and spit them out. Where's Al Scott now?
Jamel,
they didn't spit him out.
Dr. Touré, just a second. Dr. Touré is absolutely right. He's on point. And because they got the new SCAD dorms and stuff that's not on the textbook or have dominated Victory Drive in Montgomery. They got the Neil Blunt building in the rail, and they got the classrooms along Montgomery. They do not want the Salvation Army nowhere in that area. And you must do what you do, ladies. We got to back you. We got to get out and let the public know exactly in Savannah what's going on, that they're not trying to stop the Salvation Army, but not in Augusta Avenue in that area. That's what they're trying to do.
And let me say this, the East Side Concerned Citizens that Freddie Patrick brought together, that was a brilliant brother. They should be doing the same thing now that Ivory Bay is doing. They should be using that alliance as a 501c3 to be the community developer that's built with, but they're going along to get along, and they're giving their community away, and they're not getting an equitable return. And they should be getting, there's a list of community benefits, and part of that is a contribution of dollars from those developers into their coffers, so they could do some building of some of the things that the community wants. So they need to take some notes and some lessons. I would love to go over there and school them a little bit, because Freddie was instrumental in the beginning of Ivory Bay. We followed his lead on a lot of things that he did, but the people who are over there now, they don't know how to use that alliance, and they're being sucked in to the development, and they're losing on Waters Avenue. They should be winning.
Oh yeah, they're gonna listen. It'll serve them right if all the black folks just emptied out of Savannah one day and leave them there and be nothing left but old barren wasteland. But this is your home. You deserve to develop it, and shame on them. One day the predators will absolutely overhunt, and we all know what happens when the predators overhunt. They begin to consume themselves. And as all these old white men that sit on these little consortiums start to die off, things will start loosening up.
We don't want that to happen. We don't want to become the second coming of Charleston. That's what they want. I'm not going to leave Savannah, but this is my home.
Don't leave. We don't want that.
No. You stated it, so I don't want to hear it. I'm not going to move.
Oh,
it's not going to become the second Charleston. Because if you go to Charleston,
we want it to become a little Atlanta.
I'm still speaking. All the blacks live on the outskirts, and Charleston is 90% white.
Yeah, we don't want that. No, we don't want that. We want this to be in Atlanta.
Let Dr. Jamal finish, because he has not been able to finish what he's been saying. This show is about him tonight, y'all. Please.
I'm not talking Jewish. I just made a statement.
Let these people talk. Please.
Shut up right now. Shut up. Please shut up. Please shut up. Because again, when we talk about some of this and what y'all not understanding, some of y'all ain't grabbing this is not some stuff that has just happened just with Ivory Bay. Y'all to keep it acting like that. I'm not saying all the Alderwomen, but I'm saying the rest of y'all. I'm like, please be quiet. Because now let me tell you what some of the people had. Some of the hoteliers prior to some of our people in these leadership positions right now. That's why I say I support them, because guess what about Yamacraw? Some of the hoteliers, what they want to do, they want to put a wall around Yamacraw. They want to put a wall around Yamacraw. You know why? So that way the tourists and the guests who come in Savannah will not see black people. That's right. That's what I'm saying. I want to get that point out to say what is going on. What is going on in West Savannah? This is a sinister plan, a sinister game. What happened on the east side is sinister, and you gotta fight it. That's why I'm like saying, we tell y'all some stuff, but people don't pay attention. They want to put the wall around Yamacraw. He thought it was going to be okay, and that some people even like entertain the thought about having a doggone wall. I can't use the profanity. A doggone wall around Yamacraw.
That is why they moved the bus line.
Yes.
Y'all listen. That is why they moved the bus line from Broughton Street.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Because they don't want to see. Come on now.
Yeah.
The bus depot. The bus depot at Cat. Yeah, and we just sat back, and you know what? That happened on the watch of African American leaders who sat back and did nothing. Just
they were busy building incentives instead of building economics for our African American community.
Right.
Mayor Edna Jackson's administration.
And what that was about. It was about getting us off out of the tourist areas. So then that way, because I'm gonna go back in time. Some of y'all may not realize that there was the Williams family had a produce business in right by Polk's, right in City Market.
Yes.
The city of Savannah did a land swap with them. But guess what? When the city of Savannah did the land swap with them, the land that the Williams family got was polluted land. So they could not open up the business. So that is what goes on. That's what happened. We might have the business, but then even when we try to play fair, they're still trying to find a way to stop us from having the economic engine. So that we're out of City Market now. They got us off of River Street. No matter how you feel about Captain Sam, they were down there. We were down there. They got us off of River Street. So the first tourist area is River Street, second City Market. And then in the 2010s, they got us off of Broad Street by getting us the buses off of Broad Street, putting it in Yamacraw, so we were out of sight, out of mind. And there's, as Alderwoman Gibson-Carter said, Miller Blakely said, Bryant Lanier, out of sight, out of mind, and that's what they want to playground for themselves. And we cannot let that happen. And we can't let them use it. And scam on the other side of Victory Drive also. Because guess what? On 42nd, 43rd, now conveniently there was a fire over that side. People discuss. And so now you see everything torn down. And so it's going to be development over there too. So they further gentrify and they try to become entrenched. We cannot let that happen. We are not, the people they're not marginalized. We marginalized and we being attacked.
Well, what's going on with the housing authority? Because based on what's going on with Yamacraw, even if that fence was considered, they had to deal with the housing authority. And look at Caton Homes and Fraser Homes right now. You have so many boarded up housing. So you mean to tell me we got a homeless escalation problem, and then we got all these boarded up houses and people need places to live? What's happening with the housing authority?
Yeah,
they're no longer in the business of providing housing. They're now in the business of managing. Don't you remember that meeting me and you went to, Alderwoman Lanier, where they forgot to invite people to the meeting, but they posted it in the paper.
And we were the only ones
saying that, we do that all the time. That's just protocol. And we bust them out and let them know we here for the meeting. And they weren't even prepared to give a meeting. Okay. Wow. So, and that's when we found out that they were no longer in the business of providing housing. Instead, they were in the business of managing housing that was brought in by developers. That's why that 204 and 95 development came into play.
But look at Fraser Homes. Now,
something like that.
A few years ago, they created a large hotel district. And it was drawn around Caton Fraser Home, and it goes all the way down by Yamacraw. So the handwriting is already telling you what they plan to do. Get rid of those public housing and place what? Large scale hotels.
That's right.
And what's going on in the first district right now, once we could come up and exhale from the Salvation Army thing, we got to go over the West Drive where they want to put a wall in front of those people's houses. Between Victory Drive and the homes, y'all, they want to put a wall up right there, and those people calling out for help. Then I need to go in the Highlands because those people out there, they don't have any good organization, or only the homeowner, but they need to have a CDC. So I'm gonna try to work with them to develop a Highland CDC because those people don't want those warehouses in front of their communities. They want the same thing we want. They want this same type of mixed-use development that's going to bring some retail and other resources, community business. That's what they want, and that's what I'm going to help them fight for. And they have no recreation. When these next two subdivisions go up, they'll have close to 5,000 people, and they have no recreation in the area. I don't see why they allowed those builders to build all those houses without factoring in any recreation. And then I need to go to Bayview, Clairview, where housing west of Carolyn Street to maintain that integrity, and east of Carolyn Street by the Longshoreman Hall, we want to create a Black business district. And that's what's going on in the first district.
Well, one of the things I did when we talk about policy-driven change, one of the things I proposed when Pat Monahan was the city manager was impact fees. And all of those things that you laid out, Alderwoman Lanier, would essentially be satisfied if we incorporated impact fees, whereby when these developers come in and establish these communities and housing in tandem, we can have those things that are related to recreation. fire service and police service. But because we do not have a policy that will allow us to generate that new income or additional income, and for those things that are not allowable through that impact fee, we could adjust our budget so that it could absorb expenses that we may be incurring in different ways. But Mr. Monahan stated, with all of his infinite wisdom, that there was no place else to build. But in fact, just this year, we have approved development for at least 4 or 5 new housing subdivisions.
Yep.
And this isn't some policy that's all far out. These are policies that are consistent with progressive communities. These are policies that are consistent with communities who are able to give their citizens and their residents the luxuries and the benefits of having all of what comes with such policy. So it's, Savannah is very backwards. We're very backwards. We're just now approaching increasing our hotel motel tax, only to have the wool pulled over our eyes, because we in fact will be collecting less for our general fund, and more will be going to the individuals of Visit Savannah. And how is it that the city manager who writes the check to Visit Savannah, we divide 50% of the collection of our hotel motel tax, and we give it away to Market Savannah? But the check that we write to them is written by a person who makes $200,000 to their person who makes $400,000.
500,000. 500.
And the second person is just under that. And the third person is just under that. And then when you say, well, let's look at making these adjustments, Brother Jamal, right now, the city of Savannah incurred the expenses of the visitor center. Mm-hmm. Why is that? Why did that come out?
I got a question. I got a question.
About who we're going to be marketing to the African Americans and how that money is going to be administered.
I got a question.
We want to go there?
I got a question. Does SCAD pay any tax or anything?
No, because they're
no.
None?
Yes, Alderwoman Gibson-Carter. We want to go there about what's getting ready to happen once they get the funds from the hotel motel tax, where they're going to advertise for one individual. They're going to hire one individual. Hopefully that individual will be African American, to market to African Americans about visiting Savannah.
Let me set it up.
One of my friends said, so what we're going to do is we're going to hire a Black person to market to affluent or upper echelon Black people to come and watch Black people be slaves.
Yes.
And we're going to use the money for a slave museum to basically perpetuate slavery, because it's
an insult.
It is an insult.
It's an insult. It's the most. It's obscene.
Museum. Like, who does that? That's
racist.
Who's calling the
racist
incident?
So racists do that.
Tomorrow is Thursday. If they don't postpone, I know you're going to fight for that. The big vote tomorrow, how you think it's going to turn out? I know how you ladies going to vote. Give me an idea of what's going to take place tomorrow.
Well, according to what was read to us tonight, nothing is going to take place tomorrow on the Salvation Army property, because I can tell you this: whenever Nick Palumbo, Curtis Purdy, Linda Wilder Bryant, Dietrich Leggett, or Van Johnson says something, that's what happens. That's what happens. So it's not.
Two questions. Did Dietrich Leggett ever vote against Van?
That's like a map tomorrow. You all, and the other thing is, we want our voters to answer your question, Ms. Air. We want our voters, our constituents, and our electorate to know the City of Savannah meetings are live on Facebook. So that means they're recorded. You can go back and watch if you're like me and can't sleep. Watch it in the middle of the night, or you can watch it on YouTube, and they are also archived on our City of Savannah's website page. But what I don't want you all to leave out, the City of Savannah gets a lot of the attention and focus because what we bring to the table is a level of humility where these positions are concerned. And so we have allowed our electorate and our constituents to connect with us and to reach us. We go about in these roads very humbly, with a lot of humility, but it works against us sometimes because I feel like people take that for granted. But what we don't want to happen is we don't want you to let off the hook the county commission. Right now, Commissioner Ellis, and I can't even think of the other guy's name because he's been so silent. Who else is it?
Bobby Lockett.
Commissioner Adams and Commissioner Ellis should be standing lockstep with Alderwoman Lanier on this issue of the weeping time. And I'm going to say it, and I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to say it out loud. Commissioner Ellis and Commissioner Adams should be standing lockstep in arms with Alderwoman Lanier on this issue, because you would not be sitting in your seat if it were not for the people of the West Side.
And Carl Gilliard also.
Too comfortable. And so, and the state level. So pay attention to the county commission and your delegation. Right now, breaking news is Representative Derek Mallow was finally successful in getting an announcement in Savannah Morning News, which is required. He now has an announcement, but because by law you have to notice when you make any changes at the Georgia General Assembly. So he is working and petitioning to change the CAT board, to change the structure, and to reconstitute and dissolve the CAT board. That's in the paper right now. He paid for it himself. And Savannah Morning News gave him a very hard time. And so you see how this establishment and all these people are working together. So next week is the vote on that. Call your legislatures, call all of them at the state level and let them know that you are going to support dissolving that CAT board. Because unfortunately, Commissioner Chester Ellis resurrected a person in the form of Tabitha Odell, who voters voted out. And in short order, she came in and supported an act against the first African-American female in that role at CAT, who had been on her job for 6 months. And this is personal for me because a lot of what happened to that woman resembles a lot of what happened to me at the Rape Crisis Center. And by the way, I was not terminated. I was asked to resign of my job. So why is it that we continue to let these people off of the hook? So the message is connect with your county commissioners, connect with your state representatives, and continue to connect with us at City Hall.
So the Alderwoman mentioned a couple of tools that we use at City Hall, and that's the Facebook page and there's the YouTube page. Well, I just want your viewers to know that on this morning, I was banned from using the city's YouTube channel for my press conference and the YouTube page by Michael Brown, the city manager. He said he refused to allow me to use that to get my message out. So therefore, I took my press conference to the people, to the property on Augusta Avenue. So my employee banned me from using the tools for the job. Okay, that's one thing. The next thing I want to mention is that Ivory Bay has a vision and a proposal and an objective for a community market and an entrepreneur center. And we, for years and years, we had drawings. We leased some property one time. So we know we didn't have the investment to get this done. So we advocated the Arena District planners to place the entrepreneur center and the community market in that plan. And it was so difficult to advocate for it. I mean, we got put out of City Hall. Victor Cooper and myself went down to meet to advocate for the community market that we so needed. And they wanted to know what the community needed. Ivory Bay can't build this. We need a community market. We need an entrepreneur center. These will be wealth generators. These will be things that the young people, the people in this community need to build wealth, to build themselves up. And we fought so hard to get that. We even went inside the Civic Center to a meeting and walked around the room with picket signs. Well, when the planners came from Atlanta, they heard us and thought it was a great idea to have a community market and an entrepreneurial center in that plan. And they wrote it in the plan and they placed it in the Waterworks building. So now we have $10 million to develop a community market and an entrepreneur center in the Waterworks building. But lo and behold, now that the aligned impacted people through Ivory Bay are trying to get into the discussion of what that market, our vision that we put into this plan needs to look like and has to operate, the staff again are working overtime, building a narrative to push us away. Your eyes on that.
We wanna go ahead.
Just keep your eyes on that project with us, because I'm sure before it's over,
Hold on.
need advocacy.
You're on mute, Alicia.
Go ahead. This is going to be our closing. We want to thank everyone. Last words, Alicia Miller, Alderwoman Blakely.
We have
I
about
was
11
just
minutes.
chiming in on what Alderwoman Bryant Lanier was saying.
Hold on.
Okay, I see you, Julius. I see you. We got
about 10 minutes.
We got about 10 minutes. Go ahead.
I just wanted to chime in on what Alderwoman Bryant Lanier was saying about the market. She has put in a lot of work. Her and her community and Ivory Bay, they have put in a lot of work. And she came with the plans. But now what has happened is they want, and that's the staff for the city, they want to find a way for Healthy Savannah to run and operate this particular entity. And that's what we've been seeing a lot with our city government and the staff, so to speak. When it's time for, and I'm going to say this, when it's time for Black folk to have anything in this city, there's always a problem. There's always a consult. There's always a study that has to be done. But when it's time for other Caucasians, I'm going to just put it out there, Caucasians and whoever else, Hispanic, even more Hispanics who have a task force that, and we don't have one. When it's time for them to do anything, it's no questions asked. It's not a problem. Let's go ahead and do it. But I'm going to say this in closing. What's good for the goose is great for the gander. If they're doing it over there, doggone it, they're going to do it over here. We're going to get our just due by hook or crook. Equality, equality. That is the mantra, and that is what equity is what we're going to be screaming and hollering until we get it. That's all.
I want to thank you guys. I want to thank you guys so much. I want to thank you. But now I'm going to let you go. I want to thank you guys for coming on. Anytime you want to come back to ATR, this is the Black Network that we will let you air what you need to air. Again, you guys was fantastic explaining what happened. I'm going to wish you good night, but thank you again. And
you're always leaving early, Charlie.
Okay. And I want to say good night to you guys, and thank you so much.
Good night.
And
good night, Charlie.
Lisa, take care.
Good night, Charlie.
All right, go ahead, Bernetta.
I just want to say, not necessarily Healthy Savannah, anybody except for Ivory Bay, the people who brought the concept into the plan to the table. So just anybody else, just not them, not the intended people, not the people who the whole investment.
Healthy Savannah was the name that was called.
Well, the
name that
people,
was called Healthy Savannah.
The people they're trying to push away are the people that this whole investment was intended to uplift. So you're trying to push away the impacted people. So I just don't get it. But that's the embedded. They need some people who understand how to work with low wealth people. They don't get us. They don't understand us. They have no compassion for us. And they don't know how to help us build wealth. It's embedded through the whole organization.
What say you, Dr. Trey?
Let me close with my parting words, Ms. Air, if you don't mind. Mr. Brown talked about the platform and how great.
Sorry, Dr. Trey.
It is the Rabble. I'm sorry. What opportunity this platform is providing for us, and it means a lot. Even tonight, we have a city council meeting that starts at 12 o'clock tomorrow. And the workshop starts at 12 and the meeting starts at 2. And so what we are doing is investing a lot of time. That meeting is probably going to go well until about 6 o'clock. And then we're here tonight. Quiet, y'all. And then we're here tonight. We're here tonight investing what 2 more additional hours. And then we were with Alderwoman Lanier today, investing more hours. And this is essentially I think Alderwoman Blakely did the math on it in terms of what our hourly pay is here. It's by about $5 an hour when you average it all out. And not that we're here for the money, but just know that the time we are investing in this work, we need your support. We cannot fight for the people, explain to the people why we're fighting and how we're fighting, and then turn around and fight the people.
Thank you, Alderwoman Gibson-Carter.
We're human. If you cut us, we're going to bleed. If you push us hard enough, we're going to fall and we're going to cry. We'll get back up and hit you back. But we're human.
Well, I ain't going to cry. I'm going to knock the hell out of them.
We're women.
Hey.
You know, and so and with regard to the media, we know that it's been unfair to the minorities on council. And I don't mean by way of race or gender, but the minorities in number. The media, both print and television. We are so fortunate that social media has helped us change the game. We're so blessed to have the support of ATR that helps us frame a different messaging. You don't have to worry about a talking head who's been in their position for over 30 years, and they think the extent of their responsibility is just to read what is in front of them, and they don't have any regard for tearing down other Black women and women in this community. Individuals who've worked for decades from a place of authenticity. So we're grateful to you all. We're grateful to you all. And we want to serve message notice to the media here in Savannah, Chatham County. It's not business as usual. You will no longer get away with the crap that you all have been pulling.
And we're going to have to work on some boycotts.
Hold on. Listen, there's a big billboard that's on Abercorn and Montgomery Crossroads that says social media is not the news. Well, I'm here to tell y'all that's a lie. Social media is the news.
Yeah, 5 of those boards up.
That's right. Let's hear from Dr. Teray. What's your closing parting comments for us, Dr. Teray?
My comment is this, and it's basically paraphrasing Frederick Douglass. Savannah, power will not concede without a demand. It never has, it never will. We need to do what was discussed with Vic Cooper and others of us discussed. We need to do a report card. A report card needs to be done. We need to do a report card on our elected officials and put it out there. And then to the community itself, to the people, we must act. We cannot sit down and just talk in our homes. We must act. We must have action. You can't just talk about the evil. You must address the evil. And so I just want to throw that out there and say it is Chairman Ellis, and also Mayor Johnson. I'm doing that to my sister Keisha Gibson-Carter, the great Alderwoman.
Okay, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. We only have but about 2 minutes left. We got 2 minutes. We got 2 minutes left. I want to thank my co-host for being so gracious tonight and letting these people talk. Y'all see that I love to talk and I didn't say hardly anything. But tonight it was about you all, so you all can talk to the people. We'll be back next week and the co-hosts can talk all they want till their mouth got diarrhea. But I want to also thank those that have been contributing to the platform. We appreciate you. You see the Cash App to the bottom. We can't do it without you. We got a lot of apps, websites, and other stuff that we have to pay for here. So we appreciate all the people that have been given. People have been given. We don't want to call people's names because a lot of people probably don't want that to be unknown. So we thank you.
I think it's important for you to acknowledge that as elected officials who are in support of the ATR platform, we are in no way benefactors of any financial
at all. They get nothing
at all. This is
even if they ask me, get nothing.
Correct. And Julius, could you please invite your audience? We will be live and in the live body form in City Hall tomorrow at noon. So come on down and show your support and speak on these issues.
All right, 30 seconds left.
30 seconds left. Go down to City Hall in Savannah tomorrow. Fill that chamber. Fill it, fill it, fill it. Don't y'all let them people know. And let me tell you something. There was a saying that they used to say back in the 80s. The roof The roof. The roof is on fire. We don't need no water. Let the burn, burn, mother.
Good night, everybody.
Burn.
Good night.